Welcome, dear listeners, to a labyrinth of the enigmatic and the eerie. Tonight we tread softly on the thin veil separating the known from the unknown, the natural from the supernatural. We delve into tales that baffle reason and defy explanation. Hold your breath, keep your eyes wide open, for we are about to embark on a journey through the shadowy corridors of true paranormal encounters. Are you ready, my fellow seekers of the strange, to step into the uncanny?
Story 1. Ringing phone from the other side. In the chilling aftermath of my father's departure from this world, our household was haunted by a series of disembodied phone calls. These unsettling occurrences began in the twilight of 2002, an era before the proliferation of robotic cold callers that plague us today. Our antiquated landline, stripped of modern conveniences like caller ID, served as the eerie conduit for these spectral interruptions. For months, the shrill ring of the phone would slice through the silence of our morning home, only to be greeted by a void of unnerving quietude on the other end. We dismissed these spectral intrusions as errant missed dials or perhaps some glitch in the telephone network. One fateful day, after receiving yet another of these phantom calls, I found myself jesting into the silent receiver. "Father, if it is indeed you, give my mobile a ring." I should clarify, my mobile at the time was a private sanctuary, its number known only to my immediate family and a select few friends. It was a rarity to receive an unsolicited call. So imagine my horror when not long after my light-hearted challenge, my mobile jangled to life, the screen illuminating with an unrecognizable number. Terror seized me, freezing me in place. The jest was still fresh in my mind, making the ringing seem like an ominous echo. I couldn't bring myself to answer. As I prepared to leave the house with my mother, I relayed the chilling incident. We decided to confront this terror head-on and dialed the mysterious number from the safety of the car. Instead of the expected series of rings, we were met with an eerie cacophony of muffled static, punctuated by the deliberate punching of numbers. The sounds were distant, as though coming from the depths of an abyss. My mother and I ventured tentative hellos into the phone, but the spectral caller remained mute. To this day, I am haunted by this chilling encounter. Has anyone else ever experienced such a chilling phenomenon when dialing a number? This was my first and only tryst with such a spectral occurrence. Story 2. Phantom Furnishings and Unseen Tenants. This chilling tale doesn't belong to me, but to my mother. It begins with her friend, let's call her Jane, who implored my mother to assist in investigating an inexplicable phenomenon she was experiencing. You see, Jane was convinced that her home was haunted. As a woman of science, my mother was skeptical, but Jane's desperation was palpable. She was on the brink, convinced she was either losing her mind or living with a ghost. Upon arriving at Jane's house, my mother was led on a tour of the peculiar happenings. The first stop was the living room, where a brass lamp stood, its polished surface reflecting the kitchen behind. Jane asked my mother to observe the reflection, and as my mother watched, a shadowy figure of a man emerged from behind the wall in the mirrored world of the lamp. But when she spun around, there was nothing but empty space. This spectral apparition repeated itself multiple times, each occurrence sending a shiver down my mother's spine. Next, they ventured into Jane's son's room. With the room darkened and only the hallway light seeping under the door, my mother saw the unmistakable silhouette of 2 feet interrupting the band of light. Yet, when the door swung open, the hallway was devoid of any presence. This eerie spectacle also repeated itself, amplifying the sense of dread. The final stop was Jane's bedroom. As they laid on the bed, Jane fluffed up the comforter, letting it settle on their legs. To their horror, the comforter sunk down as if an unseen entity had taken a seat upon it. Despite their disbelief, the phantom pressure on the comforter appeared again and again whenever Jane fluffed it up. Despite her scientific mind, my mother could not find a logical explanation for these chilling occurrences. In desperation, Jane sought the guidance of a spiritual medium who revealed that it was not the house, but the second-hand furniture she'd acquired from a garage sale that was haunted. Once she rid her home of these spectral conduits, the paranormal activities ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence. Story 3: Voices in the Wilderness. Tucked away in the remote wilderness of Vermont, near the shadowy border with Canada, sits a mountain, an imposing and ancient monolith that has been a part of my family's legacy for generations. The mountain and its surrounding forests have always been my sanctuary, a place where I could escape from the world. However, after several unnerving encounters with nocturnal predators, I decided to construct a makeshift shelter for protection. This humble refuge was erected during my first year of high school, a modest log cabin crafted from the sturdy moose maple indigenous to our region. To shield it from the relentless onslaught of rain and wind, I wrapped the entire structure in roofing material, sealing the gaps between the logs. Over time, this secluded hideaway became a popular retreat for my friends and me. We relished in the freedom that the remoteness offered, indulging in harmless teenage exploits like shooting cans or detonating homemade firecrackers. The isolation was liberating, but also served as a stark reminder that if trouble found us, we were on our own. One fateful Friday night, I invited a childhood friend, whom we'll call Ethan, to accompany me on a camping trip to the cabin. After a day filled with hiking and roasting hot dogs over an open fire, night fell. The encroaching darkness brought with it the familiar symphony of wilderness, rustling leaves, hooting owls, the distant howl of a coyote. It was eerie yet comforting, a testament to the untouched nature surrounding us. Armed with our trusty rifles, we retreated into the safety of our cabin and drifted off to sleep. Our slumber was abruptly shattered around 1 a.m. by an inexplicably haunting melody. It was as if an unseen choir had congregated just outside our cabin, their ethereal voices permeating through the wooden walls. The sound was chillingly beautiful, a symphony of Latin phrases that echoed in our minds, yet their meaning remained elusive. Strangely, we felt an overwhelming sense of calm wash over us as the spectral choir serenaded us. Their heavenly voices lulled us back to sleep, their melody fading into the night. The following morning, we scoured the vicinity for any signs of the mysterious choir. However, the wilderness revealed no clues. We were miles away from civilization, making the incident all the more perplexing. To this day, the memory of the phantom choir haunts me, their angelic voices echoing in my mind. I refer to this inexplicable event as the Serenade of the Angels. I often find myself questioning the reality of that night, grateful that Ethan was there to confirm I wasn't losing my sanity.